What's going on, people? Welcome back to the Gooms podcast. We have got a banger for you guys today. Before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button as we are on the way to 1,000 subscribers. Enjoy the episode. Peace!
You spoke with Bieber on TikTok
Yeah.
Live, didn't you? That's crazy.
Did you not? Yeah, you didn't. Did you not see that video?
You were on live with Bieber, bro.
That's crazy.
This is ages ago. I remember seeing it.
You sure it weren't just the AI one? Because I was on live with Ronaldo
it was Justin
once.
Bieber,
Nah, it was-
bro.
so-
it was Justin Bieber.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite stories actually. I always told this to people
It
in my
would
life.
be one of your favorite
It was-
stories.
Yeah, innit? Like, probably like top
My
10
favourite
most
story.
famous people in the world went live with him.
Yeah, so for me, like when people say, "Oh, like who do you look up to as a musician?" For me, like probably number one spot aside like Michael Jackson is Bieber, because growing up, it's like Bieber was the man, innit? And
Yeah.
he's incredible at what he does, and I think he's such a good artist. And I love his music, obviously. And he's a couple years older than me. So like when he was getting famous, I was at the sort of age where I was like, oh, he's similar to like my age. Like I want to do what he's doing, sort of thing. So I was at home with my boy Paul one day, who shoots everything for me. Shout out Paul.
I met Paul when I
Yeah,
came to,
yeah,
he's a
Paul,
good guy.
he's my boy, Evergy Visuals. So we were just chilling, sitting on the sofa. We were planning a shoot for the next day, and I got a notification on my phone, and it was like Justin Bieber is live on TikTok, and I was like, okay, cool, like let me click it, because he never really goes live on there. So I've clicked on it, and he had his guest box on, and I'd never used a guest box before. When I go live, I only do like, you know, when you do like a dual screen, and it said send request, and then Paul was like to me, said like click the button. I was like, okay, cool. So I've clicked it, and then I've got it on in the background, and like there's loads of he's joining like fans, but the majority of them are like getting on there and screaming. Like they get on there, they're like, oh my god, like I love you, and he's like, thank you so much, and like and that was it. Like on to the next one. And then we were sitting there, and then my phone, like, you know when you can, the phone's in the corner of your eye, and like you notice the lighting change, something popped up and it said, would you like to go live? And it gives you like 5 seconds to accept it. I've never clicked a button so fast in my life. Like I was like, yeah. But before that happened, like we were talking, and then Paul looked at me and he was like, he's going to accept. And like, you know, and you just feel like it was like an energy. And I looked at him, I was like, he's going to accept. And then 2 minutes later, I said, would you like to go live? So I clicked the button, and then it just went dead. So like you could have heard a pin drop in the room. It went dead silent, and he was like, hey man. And like Paul, I was like,
Get like butterflies or no, like that.
bro, do you know what it was? Not being in like shock, but you know when you're just so calm in a situation, it's like you're kind of. I was taken back by it, because I didn't know whether he was going to accept or not, because there was hundreds of thousands of people,
bro,
like obviously it's trying to get on the live. And then he picked up and he was like, hey man. I was like, oh, what's good, bro? Like, how are you? He's like, I'm good, thank you. He's like, oh, so like your name's Zach? And I was like, yeah. And the whole time I didn't know that my camera was off. It was just my audio, but I didn't know how to put the camera on, because
that's that recognition from people like seeing your face.
and I've never used the guest box before with the camera, like, so I didn't know that.
Wait, so it stayed like that for the whole video?
Yeah, but it was cool, like, because we had a conversation. We spoke for about 5 minutes as well. It wasn't like a quick conversation. I was just asking like where he was, like what he was doing. He was on tour, I think. He was like on like a break, and we were just speaking about music. He was like, oh, so you do music as well? I was like, yeah. Told him about my music. He was like, what sort of music do you make? And the way I described it is R&P, so it's like R&B but a bit poppy. And then he was like, oh, cool, man, like I really like that. Yeah, he's like, I like that. That's literally what he said. He's like, I
haven't actually watched the video, by the way. That was
that's mad that you said that, because that's actually what he said. He's like, I like that. And then he was like, oh, like, so he said something else about my music, and I was like, oh, I've got new music coming out. I was like, I'd love to send it over to you. And he was like, yeah, hit me in the DM. So I was like, okay, cool. And then like the conversation carried on, and we was talking about the weather for a bit. And then, yeah, I was like, listen, I'll let you go. And he was like, it was nice speaking to you. Hit me in the DM, whatever. And then I hung up the phone, and it was about midnight our time. And I hung up the phone, and I just froze. I was like, what has just happened? My boy was like, you just spoke to Bieber. Like, it was mad.
You're
It was
literally
like,
just on FaceTime with Bieber.
yeah, bro. Like, it was crazy.
Did
he
you
reply
send
to
him
your
the
DM?
songs?
Yeah, no, he didn't reply to the DM. Not as of yet.
He's fake as fuck, man. He's not a real one.
No, do you know what it is?
Lying.
If you think about it, right? Even if
ratings have gone down for
nah, it's my boy.
JB, man.